I am always interested in hearing people's stories and how they got to where they are now. So it's like we're all moms and our kids go to the same school, but what got us here? You know?
Yeah.
So I'll just start by asking you guys, where were you born?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm from Ventura County, California, so Southern California. And I've been over here in Idaho for I think almost 12 years now. So I feel
crazy.
like
I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. So I really feel like I'm here.
Yeah.
Like I say, what is it, like Boise?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I got it.
If you want to sound like a local.
Yeah.
It's such a thing too. I mean, maybe I'm more attuned to that than other locals, but if I hear someone say Boise,
I immediately
you're not from here.
Yeah.
You're not from
here. I'm not from here, and I'm not going to pretend.
But
that'll help.
Yeah. That gives you some street cred.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't hate me.
Yeah. But I am curious, like being from California, do you feel like you get like hate or like, okay, I always wondering.
We go to Bogus and we see like the signs that are like, not nice to California stuff,
Yeah.
but I've never.
Wait, what are those? I don't
like I've seen like.
Have you seen the stickers up at Bogus, like the graffiti and stuff?
Yeah.
It's like F Californians.
Yeah.
That's silly.
You know
it's
what?
wild.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, and there could be really old graffiti.
It could be. It definitely could be.
It's gold rush.
But we'll see.
Right. Yeah.
But I still see cars like that will be like F California stickers.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's so many people from California. You
I
can't
know.
just lump them all into one
Yeah.
idea of whatever.
I'd be curious what the ratio is actually. Like, it could be more California than
honestly
natives at this point.
Might be.
Yeah.
Like,
And I get it because it's so awesome here that I wouldn't want it to change either.
Mm-hmm.
And I can empathize with that.
Yeah.
So, but I love it here. And I also love going home and going to the beach and all that and seeing my family. So, what about you?
Yeah.
Jen?
I'm from Boise, I guess. So my grandparents moved to Boise. My mom was raised in Boise. And then I was born in Texas because that's where she met my dad.
Yeah.
So I lived there until the 3rd grade. And then they got a divorce. And so she moved back home. So I've been in Boise since 3rd grade.
Yes. But then you lived in Utah, right?
Yeah. So after high school, I went to Utah for school. And then was down there for 5 years. And then me and my husband moved to Indianapolis for 2. Back to Utah, and then moved back here in 2019.
Okay.
So literally, I graduated high school from 2009. And between those 10 years, the population of Idaho doubled. So it's weird being back because it is like coming home, but it's so different that it's also not. I mean, it still has the same essence to it, but it isn't like I know where everything is.
Yeah.
Like my points of reference are off, and
there's literally entire cities and communities that didn't exist.
True.
So I'm from Boise, and I have only left briefly to live in Seattle for a year after high school. So when I came back after that, it didn't feel that different. I don't think it was enough time, and it was kind of before the big boom. But I think it's kind of funny being a local. I think we were even joking about this because I feel most out of the loop of what is going on in this town because I don't really, I think I'm so used to how it always was that I live in my little bubble, and I barely venture past the mall, So when I have to go into Meridian or something, I'm like, whoa, there's just
so much
entire community, and they have CUNA is so funny to me because they have their own grocery stores, and you don't even need to leave. It's really interesting. I mean, when did you come? You said 12 years ago?
I think.
Yeah.
I could be doing the math wrong on that, but I moved up here to go to Boise State.
Okay.
And I played soccer, and that was great, and I made the most amazing friendships I could ever even think of. That was the best thing to ever come out of soccer.
Yeah.
Like family at this point. Yeah. So
that.
That was wonderful. And then I tore my ACL too many times. And so I had to step back from soccer, which at this point I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful that also happened because it gave me a chance to look at other things that I love.
Yeah.
Because you have sports or you can get so obsessed with it, but then eventually that does end. And who else are you outside of that?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that I got to kind of figure that out and do the education program at Boise State, and I got into teaching, and working with kids is so fun, and they're hilarious, and so that was great. I'm so happy that I made the move to go to Boise State to be here, and
so that's such a precarious time anyway when you're in your like early 20s, and like something, you know, ends, and then you're just like, okay, now what?
Exactly.
Who am I now?
And I think like there's so much like you can go into with all the soccer stuff, and I know a lot of people have, but I think it's just a big thing of like anytime you make one thing your whole entire life, it can just make the next change into something else so much more difficult, and you lose yourself really truly at the end of the day. Like you don't know who you are because your worth is in playing the sport, and that's like where you get feedback from everything from.
So when that ends,
and I feel like a lot of like the developmental like important things of life you sometimes miss out on because you're so focused on this one thing. Like you don't get to do like, maybe you didn't get to go travel abroad and study abroad, or maybe you didn't go to do like I don't even know, community college and making it on your own and struggling working multiple jobs. Like there's just like these lot of like kind of facets of life that you don't get to do. And on the flip side, I still learned a lot, obviously. And I'm grateful I came out of it the way I did, because I have a million great things to say about it too.
So with your boys, and they play sports, right? Do you have kind of a plan or kind of an idea of how you want to broach that subject, like as they get older or become more serious about a sport? Or
I don't want to stifle their dreams. Like if they want to be so into something that they love, I think that's awesome, and I would never want to take that from them. But I also want to be realistic about it and be like, okay, I know that you love this. Let's also like be a balanced person. What else do you love? Do you love music? Do you love art? What else can we like add to your persona of who you want to be, so that you have other hobbies as well? Because at the end of the day, it's like a hobby. Once you get older, it can be a lifelong hobby. It's beautiful, like soccer or whatever. But I just want them to be well-rounded. And I think I'm also really careful about the sport itself, because I think it allows for a lot of odd people to be in a setting with kids. And I just am super hyper aware of that. And I think my parents did a really good job of looking out for that, in my opinion. I think they did a great job of protecting me. And so I just take those pieces with me and like, okay, how can I apply that towards them in the best way? So
I feel like I'm so just naturally trusting that I don't want to fall prey to that, you know, these horrible situations where, you know, like you can be manipulated because you don't want to trust the adults that are in charge of your kids.
Absolutely. It's hard. It's hard to be a parent out here.
It's so hard.
It's hard any day. Like any era, anytime, it's always hard, I think. Which is why I love that we're having these conversations and sitting down together and talking about it, because it's just good to hear it from other people and like talk through the scenarios and what you're going to do with your kid in the future. And I don't know, bounce ideas off each other. I don't think people have always had it in the way that we do with social media and those things.
Totally.
Bounce ideas and
Do you, kind of going back to childhood, what would you say your family dynamic was like growing up, like in general? What was your home life like?
It was, well, there's like definitely like a split, like because my parents got divorced. Well, there's like multiple splits. So it's like Texas, like living together with my mom and dad. Then there was my mom being a single mom, which she was for like 5 years. And then she got remarried when I was 13. And so like we were part of a blended family where I had a stepdad and then a stepsister who was 4 months older than me.
Okay.
All of it was stressful. So there's actually no it was all pretty stressful. Like I feel like being an adult now, like paying taxes, like doing all of like the adult things, I'm like, I would so much rather do this than be like 7 again. Like it was, looking back, I'm like, I was stressed like constantly. But so
do you think your mom or dad was aware of that, or were you kind of keeping it internal? They probably were going through their own stuff too.
I don't know. I mean, I think that my mom is a high stress person for sure. Like, and I definitely have like either nature or nurture, like gotten that stress from her. Like being late, like is such a big deal. Like everything is heightened to the max. I think that, I don't know, when I was stressed, like in the in-between time when she was single, it was because I was like making like the hamburger helper for dinner and like literally like picking up things that I had to because she didn't have enough time.
Mm.
And then when I was stressed, like after the remarriage, I don't know if she like knew. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting now being a mom because you see the other, you can kind of glean the other perspective of maybe what your mom was going through. And I feel like I think about that a lot. Like, I would probably consider myself a high stress person. And I think about how that could be affecting my kids.
Yeah.
And they're so observant,
so,
you know?
so
and,
hard.
yeah. And you don't want to like scar them, especially my oldest Birdie. She's so similar to me, and she's very aware, empathetic. She knows when I'm like stressed out, and I'm not very good at hiding my feelings anyway, but then I can tell that it stresses her out, and then that stresses me out even more, and I'm like, okay, how do I think just like communicating, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I will just tell Birdie, like, I'm having a stressful day, you know, just like talking about it, maybe helps.
Labeling it.
And like normalizing it, you know. In general, I think kids kind of just assume that their parents are like superheroes. And they're not bothered, or they never get, you know, stressed or tired or sad or whatever. But yeah, what about you? What was like your kind of childhood dynamic like growing up?
Well, I have a sister, and then my parents are together, and it was overall for me a positive experience. My sister and I are really close, and I think we've gotten even closer now that she has her own child. I think that's like brought us like maybe, I don't, to be dramatic, like 100 times closer, because she knows like what that love is like now, and she knows the dynamics, and not that she didn't understand before, because I know she did, but like it's just a different level.
Really understand? You can't really.
I think she had empathy for it before.
Of course,
and she could like sit on my side and say like, I see what you're saying.
Right.
But I think like having your own child makes it really that much stronger. And my mom is from Mexico, and then she came here at a very young age, like a baby basically. And then my dad he's originally from Pendleton, Oregon, so like a rodeo. Only Pendleton millennials.
Yes,
I've
been there.
So they're really different people.
Wait, did he do rodeos?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he's into it.
Okay, cool.
So they're really different people, but I feel like, and you know, sometimes they butt heads and stuff like that, and that differences definitely show. But overall, I feel like, you know, maybe it was having my sister and I being so close in age that we just always kind of had each other, even though we're so different too. But it felt overall positive, and I know like I could go through and like pick out things, and we could dissect stuff, you know what I mean? But all around, like it was a pretty good family dynamic. You know, nothing is perfect, and that's fact. But we grew up in this little neighborhood too that in Southern California, that was this cul-de-sac, and it was that time where there was everyone outside, and there were so many kids out.
That's so
and I think that's such a big part of my childhood that I remember, like more than anything, was like my neighborhood friends. My best friend to this day was across the street from me in the house across the street, whatever. And like each house seriously had such a different dynamic and like crazy stories, own personalities. Like we had people who were LDS, and then we had people that were like 12 kids and like Catholic, but like the Latin Catholic, where they like were homeschooled and really intense. And then we had someone that I think was in the CIA. We had you guys. It was really wild. But anyways, not to get too off topic, but it was just like, that was such a big part of my childhood, was just being around all the other kids. All until it got dark out. And then coming in. I don't know if you guys had similar.
I miss that.
I didn't, but we do in our neighborhood now.
Oh,
and
you
it's
do?
like, it's really, really great. Like, especially with Rio being an only child, like she's always like with these neighbors or these neighbors or these neighbors. And it makes me feel like, okay, I can give her that. It's nice.
That's awesome.
We are just dipping our toes into that because, I also grew up like in the 90s where we would when we grew up in on the golf course, like community. And so we would literally just run rampant and go to the clubhouse or whatever. Our parents had no idea where we were, and we would just like come home at dark, you know? But now that the thought of that with my kids, I am not cool with that. Like I'm not to the point where I can let Birdie just like walk to a neighbor's house. I think that's so important to have, you know, that independence from your parents, but it's just kind of a scary thing. But
Yeah.
it feels kind of hypocritical because I totally had that, you know,
I
like
know.
But it's a
latchkey
different
kid.
age.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's different time.
It's
Different
hard.
times, yeah.
I find myself not wanting to be like overbearing of
Mhm.
that and put my stress on them. Like I still want them to live their life. Like
Yeah.
that saying that's like, do dangerous things safely.
Yeah.
Does that
I
make
like
sense?
that.
Like
Yeah.
venture
Yeah.
out, but also
Right.
with a watchful eye.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Let them experience life.
Yeah.
They can scrape their knees and everything.
absolutely.
But,
Yeah. But we're kind of like all on that cusp here with our
Yeah.
ages of our kiddos.
Yeah.
Because I've got 7, 5, and 3, and yours are,
almost 6 and 3.5.
and then
Rio's
Rio's
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
like in that area
Yeah.
where it's like we're growing out of that toddler phase, out of that kind of at home a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
On one hand. And I
Yeah.
think too, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but it is kind of hard for me, even though it's so ironic because the baby stage and even the toddler stage was so difficult in some ways, but now I feel kind of resistant to like leaving that behind and being like,
yeah.
I have like kids now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
hard.
this push-pull.
Yeah.
I feel that too, especially like with it being the only time. I'm like, well, then it's really done. Like, you know, there's no second chance at it. So.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Don't
would
make me
say,
cry.
I know.
Yeah.
But looking back, like even because I did have such a hard time postpartum, I'm like, even with this being so hard, it's still so much better for me that I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, it outweighs the like
Oh my
thinking
gosh.
about that
I
time.
think that like we're getting into the elementary years.
Yeah.
And my mom always tells me this, that those were her favorite years
Mhm.
because they're still like little and have
Mhm.
questions.
Sweet and
yes,
Yeah, like they want to hang out with you still.
but we're going hard for Halloween. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're like still doing these really exciting holiday things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we learned about bugs at school, and we're like, everything is so exciting, but now they're verbalizing it.
Yeah.
So we're getting back what
You
we're
can
putting
talk
it
to
in.
them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. Oh, the thought of Halloween not being a thing anymore, or like not doing holiday stuff,
never.
I just refuse. Like,
Yeah.
you're
I refuse.
hanging
Well, we
out
did
with me.
Valentine's at 15 years old. Like,
Yeah, I don't care if it's just me and Matt.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we dressing up.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
There's this song called Bookends. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it really makes me think of that time that we're leaving.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get the chance to listen to it, it's
when I'm ready to be wrecked.
Yeah,
I
sure.
cry every
Right.
time I listen to it. But it's like
Yeah.
basically like what a time this was.
I
Now we have our
know.
pictures to look at,
Yeah.
but what a beautiful time it was.
Yeah.
So listen to it when you get a chance.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. It reminds me of like them being at home a lot. And
Yeah.
And being with
Yeah.
them. Yeah. I know it's so bittersweet because I kind of similar. I know that these are the good times. Like,
Yeah.
these are like the great times right now. And I know that we'll have great times, you know, hopefully as they continue to get older. But yeah, they'll start to become more independent and like not be around as much. And like, that's really hard pill to swallow. But also the upside to that is that us as mothers start to get more of our independence back, and we get to kind of revisit things that maybe we had to put on the shelves.
Right? Like we're here.
Yeah. And 2 years ago I would have done anything. Like I would have shoveled horse poop for 10 hours a day just to like get some like time to myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it can be crazy.
Talk with friends and just like
Mhm.
other adults. That's
Other
the
adults,
biggest thing for me
yeah.
is when I was home a lot and
Yeah.
like just not having those conversations and just being at home and just like really wanting that
Yeah.
Yes.
adult interaction of like, what did you do
Yeah.
today? How's your week going? And I
Mhm.
missed that. And the Montessori probably felt that because I would go to the door and be like, how's it going? Can we talk?
Yeah.
And so
They're like closing the door.
it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
No, they're amazing. But yeah, it's just like I think I just needed that.
Mhm.
And so this is like such a treat to be in this new stage
Yeah.
and to still, you know, appreciate the old stage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Considered myself kind of a textbook introvert before having kids. Like I definitely I enjoyed socializing, but it would drain my battery and I
Yeah.
would need to like,
Right.
you know, have time alone to like recharge. And also I felt like my husband Ryan would have to kind of talk me into doing social things. But since having kids, I feel like I've completely switched where I'm like, what do you want? Like meeting new people and like going out and doing things that before seemed so uncomfortable. Do you guys feel kind of the same way?
Especially like with kids. Like anytime I can like parent with another parent or like mom, like even if we're going to the park, it's just nice to like have the kids play and it's like we can talk, you know?
totally.
Like I feel like it's the best. And that's I'm like probably too much into play dates. Like I'm like play dates on play dates.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's good for the kids and it's good for the grown-ups. It's
It
like
is.
as close as we can get to like a village situation.
Totally.
So I'm way into it.
Yeah. What about you? Did you feel like you were more introverted before, or?
I would say that like I'm more charged by being by myself most of the time, but I think that I have a bit of both.
Yeah.
Like I also love to be around people. I love working. I've discovered that like that really fuels me to be chatting with other people in more of a professional setting. That's really fun for me. But yeah, I think I've got a little bit of both still.
Yeah.
But I think I've been forced to be more out there and more social based on the job that I have had working in the school district and stuff like that. That really definitely helped me. It's like, get out there, you know?
Yeah.
So, but also having kids has made me feel the same way too, because I want to meet more people for them.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
So.
But then on the flip side, for me, when it comes to like physical contact, I have regressed so much because I get overstimulated so easily. Touched out like I want them to be able to be loud and play, but I mean, I could go into like my list of neurodivergencies, but I feel bad for my husband because by the time he gets home, like I don't even want he's like, don't hug me. Like I just, it becomes too much for me. But,
that's happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I have 3 boys, so it's like jungle gym central.
Right. You're the jungle gym.
Oh yeah, like someone's like always in my face, like, on my back, on my leg. Yeah. And so I just feel like I've 100% felt like that. I think it's better now that they're going to school and they're doing these things, so I'm getting like breaks. But then Matt knows what's up. Like he can walk into a situation and be like, I can feel the vibe. And he'll be like, all right, boys, let's go wrestle upstairs.
It's that episode of Bluey. Did you ever watch Bluey?
Yeah.
10 out of 10 recommend, but where Chili needs, he comes home and she's like, I need 20 minutes. It's the sheepdog episode.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But I'm like, it's so relatable. You're like, it's not that you don't love your kids or anything. You just need a break.
You get touched out. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I feel like sometimes you work in a scenario where you feel like mentally drained or like in a way like mentally touched out, right? And that's valid too. It's just like as a mom, you're on 24/7. You don't get a break, and so it gets to you in it because you're human. Like you're still a human even though you're a mom. So
I know. I always tell Brandon like my greatest gift he can give me is like just taking care of things. Like something happens, someone needs to be called, some insurance thing, and he just like takes care of it, and I don't have to do one thing. I'm like, that is how you show me you love me. Like that act of service. So, like planning the Saturday and I just have to be there.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So would acts of service be your love language, would you say?
For sure.
What about you? Do you know?
I think definitely that's part of it. I don't know. I have to look into it more. I also do really like gifts.
And I'm like, I could use some.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I love, acts of service for sure. I mean, and also like, I know that you guys probably feel similar, but like, it's like not only the feeling of touched out, but it's like my space isn't correct. Like as in there's socks and dirty laundry and a monster truck and a dog and a pillow. And like, I need it to like flow. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I need things to flow for my brain to work. Cause I feel like I'm constantly multiple tabs open all day long. Always. And so I need like my visual stimuli to be more chill in order to like function.
Yeah. I feel like I would disagree that my space does have to be perfect. It creates another problem. Yeah. And even though I'm more open to being social, it sometimes almost feels not worth it when I come home and the house isn't like, I feel like my husband does a good job of keeping it like pretty tidy, but I have like way high standards for things, and so I come home like I think Ryan took a picture of me last week after ballet, and I came home before even changing out of my leotard. I was vacuuming. And he was like, "You look crazy right now." Well, I know, but I just like come home and that's like the first thing I have to do is like everything is
there's something
clean.
About that vacuum. The sound of it is like white noise for me. It really brings me centered. I don't know what that's about, but
vacuuming carpet is like that is therapy.
There's something
like
about
watching the lines.
Studied.
You guys
it all up
are on another level. I hate vacuuming. I hate sweeping. I hate mopping. I hate I want it to be clean.
Yes,
but not enough that I'm going to come home and do it. Like, I give myself like, I don't know, there's like a 3-day period that I can live with. And then at that point, if
Yeah.
things are just, I'm like, it has to be clean right now. And then I like freak out and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do it immediately.
Yeah. Rage clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I've been there. Yeah. It's gotten in our house to a point where now it's definitely the kids, like it's flowing down to them because Calvin, we gave him a vacuum for his birthday. And he will vacuum.
Wait, what?
I gave Calvin a vacuum.
Oh,
This is genius, actually.
And
It's
it's
real
lightweight.
one?
Yeah, it's like a lightweight one for restaurants.
Yes.
For quick
stuff.
That's so
And
cute.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's been great
Yeah.
because every once in a while I'll see
Yeah.
like Graham or Calvin pull out the vacuum and just start working, and I'm like, that's right.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Rio's been wanting to play window washer,
Uh-huh.
where she'll take the Windex in the
yeah.
towel and she'll just like work on like French doors for like, I want to say like 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
And she's obsessed with it.
See, I am restricting my kids from that joy because I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do it right. Like, I can't even give them that. You know, how do you feel motherhood has changed you? Like, that's a kind of a hard question to ask or answer probably, but.
I mean,
Like, how
that
has
is a
it-
hard question.
Yeah.
It's really in depth.
It's really like the old Jen is dead. Like, and it seems so dramatic. And I feel like before I had kids, I was like, I get it. It's hard. I get it. You know, but it's like, no, you actually don't. Like, you really don't get it until you go through it.
Yeah.
I will say though, I've tried to do my best about like retaining my essence and to the point where I'm like, I will feel a lot of guilt over like still teaching yoga or still doing workshops or still like getting out of the house pretty regularly without, you know, Rio. But I think that I need it. Like,
it's self-care, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know, necessary at this point.
Yeah.
What I think like that guilt piece is like so there, constant.
Always.
It's just part of the new part of being a parent. But I think we're so hard on ourselves with it. I know I am, and I know it sounds like you too. Like taking that time for yourself is so hard.
Yeah. Well, even with my ballet class, I'm gone for an hour once a week, and Birdie will be like so upset that I'm leaving, and it like makes me feel bad and like, oh, should I not be doing this? But it's like, no, like it's good for her to also just spend time with her dad, you know, and to be separate from me too, you know.
And it's good for
both of
her to
us.
see you do that. Like, I feel like I did not see my mom do anything. Like, she never went to lunch with her friends. She never had hobbies. She never was like, I'm gonna go, you know, do a little hike. Like, and I think that it would have been good to see.
Yeah, totally. And like you, I mean, I feel like the way I describe becoming a mom is extra intense. But I truly felt like when Birdie took her first breath, I took my last. And like, you die in that moment. It's so dramatic. But like, that's exactly what it felt like. Like, I felt like my life ended at that moment, and I was like born again, but also I'm an adult and I have to take care of this baby, and also who am I? It was really like, how did you guys take to new motherhood? Like, did you take to like the baby, like the infant stage, like, or?
I thought it was hard.
Hard
as
so
heck.
hard.
Like, oh my gosh, that newborn stage. And I look back on it now, and I only like my first time, you know, when I had Wes, it was just one baby, but it was just so much change. And not only just between me and Wesley and like this new baby I have, but between my relationship with Matt is different now too, because we're adding a whole other person to this relationship, this family. And so I just think that dynamic was really intense. And I think, you know, the other times that I had newborns were easier because I knew what to expect. I knew not everything, obviously there's always changes and things that happen you can't predict, but I just felt like it was easier in general. But with Wesley, that transition was just, it was hard. And I had some good support too. And it just, and I don't know if it was like, I was also trying to go back to work and the stress of that too. And then just so many things, right, that play a role. But I really feel like for me, like I think it was meant to be that I have these 3 rambunctious and wild boys. I think it changed my perspective and who I am in a lot of different ways. Just like, I think it mellowed me out in a lot of ways.
Oh,
way chill.
Yeah.
I had to be.
You have to be. Yeah. That's how I feel about patience, and believe me, I'm still working on it. But you are forced to be more like there's no other option, and also you like have to. I thought I knew what hard work was before having kids, and not to say I never worked hard, but like there's nothing harder than like you're you have the flu and
Yeah.
you have like a million things you need to
Yeah.
do, but you
Yeah.
have to go take care of this tiny person. You have no choice. And that I feel like it's just a different level.
It
like,
is, yeah.
where childless people, again, not saying that they're not working hard, but it's just like it makes you so strong.
Yeah.
You
Mentally,
know? Yeah,
and physically,
mentally, yeah.
and
Yeah.
emotionally.
I don't know if there's,
Yeah.
it's really hard to put into words to like
Yeah.
describe that.
Right.
The
Yeah.
sleepless nights. Like I feel like the sleep deprivation for me was really hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like, you know, here we are, we're coming out of that. I still have days where I'm really sleep deprived because I've got still 3 little boys.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there was a time where I was getting no sleep. Like, I'm telling you, I was like seeing shadows. Like,
totally.
and not to be, it wasn't scary. I mean, I know that can be scary for people.
Right.
And I didn't feel scared, but I remember in the moments thinking, wow, I'm sleep. This is like the craziest thing. Like, I'm so sleep deprived.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm feeling.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, and just being able, I'm glad I was able to like label that to myself.
Yeah, you were aware.
And I was like, hey, Matt, I
need
to go
sleep
to bed.
This is a horrible thing to admit for the first time on live television. But there were times when, like, one of the, I don't know who it was, or probably both at some point, would wake up in the middle of the night and I would hear them on the monitor, but I would pretend to not. So Ryan would have to go get up and like, but yeah, truly, it just felt like my legs didn't, like I just needed to stay in bed.
Like, I can look back on it now and like think about it and talk about it. But I always have this fear that the farther away from that point I get, that the less I'll be able to empathize with it. And that scares me because I see people do that.
Yeah.
I used to literally keep a journal writing down all the hard parts because I was like, I will not forget how hard this is, because I don't want to be one of those people that's like, and it's hard now because I can totally see how you can, you know, you will miss certain parts, but I think it can be so diminishing to new parents' feelings to be like, oh, but you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but do not forget the hell they might be going through right now. Like, give them that grace to be like, this is hard. I kind of wish this part would speed up a little bit.
Yeah, we don't always have to like fix every situation when you're in a conversation with somebody. Like, sometimes
you just listen.
Yeah, and validate it if you've been through it.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Like, that's
it's true. Yeah. And you don't even have to say it's not forever.
Yeah.
They know that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They're aware.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, this is
hard,
a really hard time.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
When talking to new parents, I just will not say anything because I'm just scared to say the wrong thing, which is like, well, that's not good either. But like, I feel like when my friends were getting pregnant or like right after they had kids, I would be all the time like, it's okay if it's not okay. Like, it's okay if you don't like this, or it's okay if it's hard. And then I would get feedback where they're like, actually, like, I'm doing pretty great, or actually, like, it's not hard, or, you know, which I shouldn't wish that on them, that they're going to have a hard time. But it made me feel alienated from, like, my experience because it was hard, where I'm like, I sometimes feel like I can't even bring it up because I don't want to hear about like how easy it is for you. And I am still like jealous that I didn't have that experience.
But did you say you had postpartum? Yeah. So maybe, and I did too, and I didn't realize it until later. And so in hindsight, it was like made more sense. But I think, and I was talking about this with another friend, that might just be their jam, you know, like the baby stage, where that was never my jam. It's more now when I can communicate with them and everything. And I still take that approach with my friends. Like I try not to, it's pretty unsolicited advice, but I felt like when I had my first, all I saw on Instagram was how wonderful it was, how beautiful, and all the joy and everything. And that's great. That is a big part of it. But I was like, I felt like the only one who was struggling. Yeah. And so I just never want any of my friends who are having kids for the first time to feel like they're doing it wrong, or that they don't love their children, because it's not that. It's everything else. Yeah. It's really hard.
No, it is.
It's so hard.
And I also think like everyone goes through it at their own time. Like we don't know, like maybe like that first trimester of pregnancy, maybe they feel like they almost died. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
fully.
Everyone has their time, and maybe and that sounds really like negative, and I don't mean it that way. I just think like everyone has their really hard struggles through parenthood. And for us, like we maybe all felt like, for me, the newborn stage was the hardest. Yeah. It doesn't mean I can't go see my niece and like, I'm not they're doing the nights. I can love on her and love the newborn snuggles. Right. But like that newborn stage, it kicked my ass. Yeah. But I know that like I'm not in that right now. It's been
Right.
easier for me,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's other people that are going through like horrible, hard, I don't know,
Teenage,
behavior
yeah,
stuff, or like
totally.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah. And I think I don't know about you guys, but I was never like a baby person before, but now I'm way more like excited about babies and
Yeah.
kids.
Oh,
Same.
Because of
same.
my
Now I'm
kids,
like,
I think, yeah.
and
give
I
me
feel
that
like I'm
baby.
always overdoing it too,
Yeah.
like at Target or at a restaurant. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I love your baby. Like, I'm happy you're
Right.
here. I want to like
Yeah.
make sure that mom knows. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
On that note, I'm curious if you're okay with sharing, what your experience was with pregnancy
Mhm.
and with like the birth with your like oldest or with Rio.
Mhm.
Like, what was that like for you guys? Did you enjoy being pregnant?
I didn't. Well,
Yeah.
there were parts that I did enjoy about it.
Yeah.
Like, I loved seeing how strong I was. Like, I loved seeing my body
Yes.
change. That was all super fascinating. But like, so me and Brandon, when we decided we wanted to have a kid, we had been married 8 years and we had gone back and forth like almost our entire relationship. And I would say for the majority, we thought we would be child free.
Yeah.
And so when we decided, like, I felt good about the decision. We were both on board. We moved back to Boise. I got pregnant like pretty much right away, and then I had a miscarriage. The end of February 2020. So it was truly like my world ended, and then the actual world ended, and I was like so up in the air.
Oh yeah.
So when I got pregnant again a few months later, like looking back, I wish I would have given myself more time. I think I was just so scared that it would never happen that I'm like,
Yeah.
we
Just
have
gotta
to
try
try
again.
right now
Yes.
because it's like we just got to try.
Right.
Yeah.
But like being pregnant during the pandemic was hard. We were also like remodeling a house, which was hard, and like I couldn't see my parents even though we had moved back to be with them. So I don't know. I think like the whole experience is so like filtered by the lens of that I can't even imagine like what a normal experience would be like. Like when I'm reading books and like, make sure you're going to pedicures with friends. I'm like, I physically am not allowed to do that right now. Looking back, I can start to see like more nice things about it, where in the moment it just seemed really hard.
It was all very scary.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
Yeah.
And I think we all did the motherhood pregnancy thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it was, so Birdie was a few months old when COVID started. So I was like fully in postpartum, like this is so hard. And then pandemic. And then I'm such like a, like a fatalist that I was truly like afraid of what was happening to our world.
Yeah.
And then Dolly was towards the kind of the end of it. So when we were in the hospital, we couldn't have any visitors or anything like that. So talk about bookends. Like I feel like we bookended the pandemic. Yeah.
And
we had Calvin in May of 2020. So he was a true COVID baby. Yeah. And I remember, because both of my parents are nurses, I talked to them on the phone, and I remember having a conversation that if the hospitals are too full, are you going to come here and help me have this baby?
Right.
Yeah, and we were having those conversations of, what if Matt can't be in the room? I know people that didn't have the dad in the room.
Right.
And
my friend had to push with a mask on.
Yes, I think I remember you telling me that. Yeah. So it was just I think that adds a whole nother layer to postpartum and motherhood and parenthood.
Yeah,
for sure. Having a little baby and not knowing where the world is going.
Yeah. It's so scary.
And it feels almost like selfish to be in that position where you're just like, I'm sorry that like things are messed up right now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also just have, again, the selfish feeling or guilt about like having a child. I feel like that's what kept me from wanting one for so long, is I felt like it was like, I don't know, just like inherently not like, even before the pandemic, I think it's just like growing up with depression, just like feeling like life is so hard. I felt like to have a child and to like know that life is to feel pleasure and pain, and that they're going to feel pain, and it's because I had them, which I had to like let go of to even feel comfortable to have Rio. But it's still like, I don't know, so much guilt.
Your lived experiences will help you navigate that, because I have the same fear. Like I was talking about this with my therapist yesterday, just about how like my family life was so different from my kids, which is great. Like it's a huge improvement, but sometimes I'll see characteristics, especially with Birdie, that are, and I know that this word trigger is like thrown around, but it truly feels like a trigger where I'm like, no, don't be like that, because I feel like like she can be really sensitive, and I feel like I kind of wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still working through that myself. I hope I get to the point where I'm completely accepting of my sensitivity, but I feel like it inhibited me in ways.
Yes.
And you just like don't want your children to suffer the way you did.
Yeah.
But my therapist was saying kind of what you're saying, like it's a mixed bag, you know, they will suffer and you have to let them suffer. It's kind of like the do dangerous things safely. Like, and I think that's going to be so hard for me. I just want to protect them from a lot of the things that I kind of went through, but you can't and you shouldn't. Like, it's just so kind of messed up, you know. Also, the other part of that, which I'd be interested in your input, is it's amazing, right, that I'm so lucky that I found a great partner and we have a great, strong family. But I also worry that because of that, my kids won't understand what it can be like and how unhealthy families can be. And you just want to kind of shake them and be like, you have such a great life. Do you realize, you know, but they can't because they only know that. And so how do you prepare them without scaring them? How do you about like knowing gratitude and appreciating what you have, and also being empathetic to other people that don't have what you have, and also hopefully helping. Like, I just want my kids to be helpers, you know, but it's
I feel like it's okay though to be like, our home is our safe space. Like, the world will toughen them up. Like, we don't need to.
So
like,
tough already out there.
And I feel like they'll get it someday. And, you know, I think there are ways that we can go about like making sure that they're helpful and seeing different people and not like in a bubble where you're only around people who are exactly like you. But I think, I don't know. I give you grace.
Yeah,
thank
you.
You know, like,
yeah. Well, also here in Boise, and obviously we lack diversity like horribly, and I worry about that. Like, I want them to be open-minded people, accepting of everyone, and it's really challenging times right now. Living in California, did you feel like you had more of a grasp of diversity, like in your school and everything?
Well, in some ways yes, and in some ways no. Like, we had a big like Mexican population in our school. In fact, ICE was in my hometown this past weekend, and so I saw it like all over like Instagram and all that stuff. So I mean, yes, definitely. I feel like we grew up with that more, but I'm also like in a suburb, like, so it still isn't. It's not like we're in LA.
Right.
I don't know. I think about that a lot too with my boys, and I think like just talking about stuff, checking out different books. Like, we have one of my favorite books that we read. I was reading it last night. Is called Paletero Man, and it's just like about basically the ice cream man in LA, and like he's going in, and it talks to like it's half of it is in Spanish, half of it is in English, and I don't know. I'm just trying to get more of that so that they just see that like the differences. And
Totally.
I don't know. That's kind of where we're at with that, and we do take trips down back home, but I wouldn't say that they're getting a ton more diversity in those moments either. But we definitely try to talk about it.
For sure. What about you?
I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I think like with, I don't know, our travels, I'm hoping we're doing some, like taking Rio to Japan, or like we'll always try to go to like different restaurants, never like be like, this type of food is gross or this type of food is weird, or
encouraging trying different cultures and different things.
And I'll say like because like we'll go to the library, she'll choose some books, I'll choose some books. I'm always trying to choose books that are like different lifestyles, different families, different units, like, but that's definitely, I don't know. I feel like I could be doing more.
I mean, it's hard, and I feel like we can like, there's so many different areas that I'm like, oh, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that, and it's so hard because there's
not enough time in the day.
Right. But I think the fact that it's on our minds and we're having the conversations, that's I feel like that's really good, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
It can be hard though, because like I think being in California, I also don't think I was privy to some of the people that aren't for diversity and inclusion, and I moved here, and that shook me. I am still shocked sometimes at, and it's just something as like dumb as like a bumper sticker. That is,
but it's not dumb. It's like our kids are going to be able to see that,
you
and
know,
it's you know,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, just these like little things.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe I did in Southern California and I didn't see it. And maybe I'm an adult now and I'm here and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I don't know, those things, they stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And hearing the things people would say even, they stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it just, shifted my mindset in a lot of ways of this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and I think people don't want to see it, and it does.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
and
sad.
it's getting worse and worse. Like growing up in Boise, I never, like as a brown person, I never felt, I don't know, I never felt anything but included or championed or, I don't know, I never felt ostracized. But at Lewis and Clark Middle School, that was this middle school I went to, the one with the signs where the teacher ended up leaving. Everyone is welcome here.
Oh, yes.
And like, I can't imagine being at that school now and seeing like how many people are up in arms over something completely innocent. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, totally.
You don't always have to write a thank you card or put in words how you feel to somebody, but does it feel so much better to have it put in words to you?
Yeah.
And I mean that as in like her sign for her classroom and seeing it like, hey, everyone's welcome here, and just seeing that visually and hearing that reminder visually. I think that does something for kids. And I think about Matt doesn't have to tell me he loves me every day. He doesn't have to bring me flowers. He doesn't have to do any of those things for me to know that he loves me, but he does them anyway.
Yeah.
So we're always putting ourselves out there to make people feel more supported, even though we don't have to. I understand that, a classroom environment should feel that way no matter what. But like, I felt like putting it out there and letting people know you are welcome here.
Yeah.
It's just an invitation.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's something beautiful about that. I don't see the harm in inviting people into our lives with love and care and empathy. And especially in a classroom where you don't know if the kid at home is getting that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be affirmed, seen, and heard is so important. And I think it's one of those things that, like when people talk about trauma, like big T and little t, it's considered like little t trauma. But I think that those kinds of things, while they're invisible, can be so damaging. So absolutely, I can picture going into a classroom and seeing that and just feeling like a sense of calm or like you're welcome here. You're protected. Yeah.
Well, just like representation, being like, oh yeah, that's what I look like.
So talking about kind of how we grew up and cultural and, political differences, did you guys grow up with a specific religion, and like what was that like for you guys growing up in your family?
I grew up LDS, and in a lot of ways it was like very typical. In some ways it wasn't. So my mom is like pioneer ancestry, like great grandma, came from London, like walked across the trails, like all of the like very typical Mormon upbringing. Yeah. And then my dad was a convert. My mom actually converted him on a mission to Houston. So that's where they met. He's from Mexico. And so he came up when he was like 18 or 19 with his brother. So growing up, like we actually went to a Spanish ward. It was very, I don't know, it wasn't like a white ward. Like people would bring stuff to sell like in the parking lot afterwards. Like people would have breads, like fiestas that would like go all night. So it was like not the typical Mormon experience. And I always felt like, I don't know, I loved it. I loved having, that was our community for sure.
This was still in Texas?
Yeah, so this was in Houston. When we moved here, it was like night and day difference. Like
I bet.
Going to church was like stoic. Like we're not, we're not partying in the parking lot after. But I don't know. I was always just kind of like apathetic towards it. Like I was like, yeah, I didn't not like it, but I wasn't, I don't know, I was never like super stalwart, like, Molly Mormon. And I think too, like being one of the only Mexican kids there, like I felt the difference at church for sure. Yeah. And like having a single mom, like things that are not very common in Mormonism, or at that time were not common. Yeah. So yeah, I forgot what the original question was, but that's like my overall background. Okay, and then I ended up leaving in I can't remember the year, but a couple years after I got married at 21, which is very Mormon. Went to BYU, did a temple wedding.
Well, and your husband was also Mormon.
My husband was Mormon. yeah, he went on a mission to
Mm-hmm.
Japan. Like we met at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in those ways I ticked off everything like off the checklist. Looking back, I know it was because I felt like I had to. Like I truly didn't even apply to any other schools. I was like, I have to go to BYU. Like that's where Mormons go to college. So much of my life, I think, was just kind of an autopilot where I just did things because that was what was expected. Right.
So what prompted you, and because obviously you and your husband agreed to leave together, right? So tell me, how did that come about? Like who was the first one to like say, I'm starting to question things?
Yeah.
Or
I think it was more like, so there are specific things you have to do. Like you have to get married in the temple. You have to like, for boys, you have to serve a mission. Some people don't, and they say that you don't, but like you do to be accepted in the group. And so it was like, once we got married, which we did, quickly because we were in love and, wanted to continue our relationship. That's kind of the only way you can do it in Mormonism. It's like, after we checked the last box, it was like, okay, we're settling in. We're married now. We're like kind of going to church on Sundays, but like, I don't know. I never liked going to church. I always just did it because that's what you do. And it was like all of a sudden, like, parents aren't around or, you're on your own. And we were just like, no, maybe let's not go. Like, oh, maybe let's not go again. Yeah. And then it was always just kind of like, I don't know. We weren't having like specific conversations until we moved to Indianapolis. And the first day we went to church, like our new ward, and someone on the stand made I think it was the Special Olympics, and some of the kids were like doing volunteer work, and they made like a special ed joke over the pulpit.
Oh, stop.
And I was just like, we went home, and I think I was like, what if we just stopped going for a little bit? And Brand's like, I feel good about that.
I can't believe that. That's really, really sad.
And between that time, it was, I don't know if you're familiar with Mormon Stories podcast. It was like, there was like a changing of tides for Mormons in general, where more people were like openly questioning. There were lots of podcasts. There were like starting to be like groups on Reddit or like groups meeting in person.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of taught in the Mormon church to not question anything, to really not even learn anything outside of what is given to you. Yes. Right?
It's always doubt your doubt before you doubt your faith. Like, if anything is not resonating as true, like that's on you, because there's something wrong, like that you need to fix on your end. And so like started kind of like listening to podcasts, just like starting to become more engaged with Mormonism in that way, because I feel like embarrassed now, but I would go to church and I would just like not even listen. Like my entire life, like I would just kind of just like truly just like kind of sit there and daydream, but like just not interested. And then it's like when I was interested, I'm like, wait, they're saying this, and like this is what happened. Like these are the facts of like church history, and it's like the more I learned, the more I was like, this isn't for me. Like so it was a pretty gradual transition where it's like I would still claim Mormonism for like, years after we stopped going to church. Like it was like, okay, maybe let's start drinking. Okay, maybe let's have some coffee. But it was like truly a very long length of time. Whereas now I have lots of friends who have left, and it's like
they're just done.
Band-Aids ripped. Like we're going to do all the things in a way that I'm like, maybe also not healthy, but I get it. Like, so yeah, it was just really gradual. And then I think that I officially like told my parents, like coming out letter, I want to say it was like 5 or 6 years after.
Wow.
It was kind of like a don't ask, don't tell. Like when we would go home, my mom would be like, do you want to go to church? And I'm like, no. Yeah. Or I wouldn't be wearing my garments, so it would be obvious. And she would just, I don't know. I would say like, if you want to talk about like these things that I have problems with, let me know. And she was like, I don't really want to.
Yeah.
Like,
she couldn't go there.
Right. Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I grew up Catholic, and I would say that I really, as an adult, resonate with like Pope Francis Catholic kind of line of things. And I know it can be really, like there's two kind of like, I feel like it can be like really separated on your beliefs in Catholicism and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, Catholicism isn't always political, although things fall in line with that, and that is true. But what I liked about Pope Francis was just like his love and understanding of those that need help and support and those that have less than us. And like, I think that's still the part of Catholicism that I still resonate with, and helping others and sacrificing yourself to help the needy and the people that don't have it as good as you, and talking about it and not letting us forget those. I think we forget about that, and that's hard for me. I think I've struggled with Catholicism over the years just because I don't like it when people use religion to be mean. And that I have a hard time with. And people don't see themselves as being mean. But I don't think people check themselves, and I don't think people check their egos. I know I don't do it enough, and I'm trying my best. And so I still struggle with that. I still struggle with the priest part of Catholicism big time. I have a really hard time with that. And so there's these things that I think are beautiful within the church, and like wanting to help other people and wanting to be a good person. And you can do those things without religion, I believe, too. But yeah, I still have a connection there, and I still feel in some ways close to that part of me, like that piece of God, and like thinking about, you know, leaving the earth better than I left. Those kinds of things that still resonate with me. But I also think that I think about it a lot. Like I try to be a deep thinker in everything that I do, maybe to a fault.
Yeah.
Right.
So can I turn this off?
Yeah. Well, it's very Buddhist of you, because what does the Buddha say? To question everything. You know? So I think that's good that you're thinking about it. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear you guys both talk, because I grew up in a divided house where my mom was and is devout Christian, non-denominational, but and my dad was always either agnostic or atheist, or maybe he went back and forth. I don't know. So I was just confused from, day dot. I was just like, well, what's, true? Yeah. But I was closer with my mom, so I would go to church. And like you, most of the time I probably wasn't really listening, but when I would listen, it just didn't ever really feel like right to me, but I think what was most like the biggest impression on me was in school, because we grew up with a lot of LDS students, and it felt like very segregated. Like if you weren't Mormon, especially with the girls, you just were like outcast. Like they just wouldn't talk to you anyway. And I was always like, well, hold on a minute. Isn't religion all about being kind to others and being good people and stuff? And so that always like rubbed me the wrong way. But I still went kind of the route of, we had Young Life, which was like, like a youth group. And I kind of just went because my friends went, and that was kind of the group that I was in. But even then, sitting there, like I never thought about it as like religious teachings. I thought of it as like, I'm just hanging out with my friends, and I don't think I ever really subscribed to it. And then as I got older and I started to question things more, I think my mom picked up on that, and she became, I think maybe subconsciously, like more desperate to like keep me there. And I'm a very stubborn person. So the minute you tell me I like have to do something or I have to believe something, I'm going to go like the opposite way. And so I think I started out confused, and I'm still confused. Yeah. Like I consider myself a spiritual person, but it's maybe my unpopular opinion that nobody knows what the age is going on. What I was thinking.
I think that all the time.
Yeah, like and we're letting. I mean, no offense, but a bunch of dudes just like decide like this is truth, and it just all feels very like almost childish to me in a way. Like we're all just like, no, this is my club, and you can be in it or not, but I'm right and you're not. It's just like,
I don't like that, I'm right and you're wrong. Nobody knows for 100% fact anything. Like, we're all just here on this journey together. I totally agree with you. The separation of it.
It's hard.
It is. Yeah. And I think people, like I said, can be they can use religion to not be kind or to think that you're doing the right thing and harming others. I have a hard time with that. So, totally. I mean, obviously I still have things that I like about my faith, and there's still things that keep me close to that. But I can totally also sit down and see the other sides.
I think the funny or the ironic thing about my experience is that because I became so turned off by it, I think it kind of made me close-minded. Like I almost became like a hypocrite, and I'm working on it, where I just, if I found out someone was LDS or like devout Christian, I would almost kind of like shut off to them, because I just was like, it was self-preservation almost. Like I'm assuming that you're just going to not accept me at some point. So I'm just going to close that door now. But then I realized, like, well, it's kind of the same thing that they're doing. So I'm really trying to work on being open-minded. And especially recently, I've been reading lots of books. And it's funny how many books, like, talk about the Bible and things. And me 5 years ago would just close that book and be like, I don't want to. But now I'm like open to, and some of the things that are in the Bible are great. Yeah. I think, like, beautiful stories. So it's just a weird place of like taking everything with a grain of salt or something.
I agree. Because like I'm a huge fan of Jesus. Like I feel like his teachings were incredible. Totally like everything that I know about him, what he did, I'm like, yes, like this guy, I think he was a great, prophet. I don't think he was like literal savior, but it is like, I don't know, it's such a weird line between like the teachings and how some religions interpret, where I'm like, I can't believe you're claiming Christianity the way you're behaving. Like
totally.
Absolutely.
It's very confusing.
I totally agree. I think in every religion you can see that too. And I think, people aren't perfect. So the religion's not going to be perfect. And that is not to give them an out. I'm just saying, like, I think that's a big part of it. And I think people go unchecked. Yeah. And they use things and get in powerful positions and use things in not okay ways. And they use the Bible.
And I'm sure it's like groupthink, echo chamber, where it's like, once people start, going on this path, and it just gets more and more like insular, where they're just like, we're going to control this.
Oh, it's wild.
We're exposed to this one section of the United States, and these are your couple of churches to choose from.
Right.
Like all over the world,
there's
how many other religions are there out there? And who's to say what's wrong and right? And I don't know. I think exposure to all of it. In a way. Shop around. But you know what I mean? Like, it's learn a little bit about everything.
I actually had a class in college that was like world religion. And it was one of the most interesting classes I ever took. And I mean, I didn't come out like subscribing to any of them, but I really enjoyed the history and kind of learning about where they originated and everything. And I just came out with more of an understanding of how they got to where they are. Just teaching love and acceptance, I think is a huge, same with you. Like,
I agree.
That's like the biggest like guidepost, I'm sure. I hope.
I think I love that we can all sit here from our different backgrounds and all kind of agree on that one thing.
Totally. All right, I'll wrap it up here and say thank you guys both so much. This was awesome, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I think you guys are just amazing moms and people, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us. You're an amazing mom.
Oh,
and person, a human being.
All the things.
Yeah.